Be informed and stay up to date with what your elected representatives are doing on your behalf with the State House Report.
Hey, my name is Kambrell Garvin. I serve South Carolina House District 77, located in Northeast Columbia and Blythewood. It's certainly a wonderful opportunity to share on this platform today a little bit about what's happening at the State House. Obviously, this is a busy legislative session. Just this week alone, the General Assembly and the governor, they signed S1, which is the 6-week abortion bill. There were many hours of debate on this subject, and amidst Democratic opposition to the bill, we believe that this bill is an unconstitutional act. The supermajority of Republicans in the General Assembly continue to push it forward. So that's one of the first things that's been on the radar for us this year. But I think we need to continue to talk about issues here at the State House that affect people's day-to-day lives. The biggest thing that I hear from my community is not the issue of whether or not abortion should be, banned at 6 weeks, but I'm hearing more concerns about COVID and lack of access to the vaccination. So we're talking about funding for vaccine distribution. We're talking about ensuring that communities of color who have proven to be the most vulnerable in the state as a result of COVID-19 get access to the vaccinations. We need to be talking about things like Medicaid expansion. If COVID-19 has done nothing else, it has exposed the glaring gaps between the haves and the have-nots. And a lot of folks in my district don't have access to quality Medicaid or health care. And so that's something that's really, really important to me as a member of this General Assembly. I'm currently advancing 2 pieces of legislation that I think will be very important to those listening. The first piece concerns, it's called the South Carolina Dignity in Pregnancy Act. And what it addresses is the high rate of black maternal mortality in our state. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in childbirth than white women. That's a problem in our state. And what I have proposed is a study committee that will combat issues such as implicit bias, that will address issues such as making sure that African American women have access to doulas and home and midwives to potentially give them other options for delivery other than just a hospital. And that way they will also have more time to spend with their doctor in that sort of setting. Additionally, I propose, along with Representative Gilda Cobb-Hunter, the Crown Act. It's a piece of legislation that's passed in the California General Assembly as well as in the Maryland General Assembly, which makes discrimination of hair types illegal in our state. It basically synthesizes several laws and unequivocally states that one cannot be discriminated based upon certain hair types or styles or features. So in essence, it protects natural hairstyles. Oftentimes, what I've heard from a lot of my constituents is that they feel like they have to, when they go on job interviews, they have to change their appearance. And so the Crown Act will basically allow or prevent rather discrimination based upon hair types or textures from being tolerated in our state. So I think it's a really important piece of legislation that we hope to be able to advance. Being here at the State House has certainly given me an opportunity to be the voice for so many folks across our state and to be able to advocate on issues from Medicaid expansion to the Crown Act, to which bans hair discrimination, to implicit biases in healthcare. One thing and one challenge that I recognize is that we don't have, as Democrats, don't have the numbers to stop a lot of bad legislation. So I think that goes back to, number one, the importance of voting. And I encourage your listeners to make sure that not only are they voting, but that they're bringing along somebody else to vote with them. That's really key. But also, I think we've got to address and look at redistricting. Our states in South Carolina, our districts in South Carolina are drawn or gerrymandered. So what that means, for those who don't know, is they're drawn a certain kind of way to pack groups together. So you may have a majority-minority district, and what that does is that may give you an African American leader or representative of that district, but at the same time, the issue is that also dilutes the power of the African American vote. or the Democratic vote as a whole. Democrats on average have about 45% or so of the vote statewide when you look at the most recent election results. However, we only have one congressional seat out of 7, and there are only about 43 Democrats in the House of Representatives and only 16 Democrats in the state Senate. So to be getting 45% of the vote, I don't think those numbers are necessarily reflective of the power that we have, given the fact that far too often our votes are compacted and blue districts become bluer and red districts become redder, and the purple center, the middle ground, is very often found. It's not found. And I think the challenge with having folks on both ends of the spectrum and nobody in the middle is that we become a more partisan body, and that's the greatest challenge that I think that we will have in our state, is that we will become more partisan, and we'll have bills and laws that please one side, but not folks trying to work together in the middle and to get things done for the people of our state. So again, I encourage everybody to be involved in the process, and it's an honor to serve, and it's certainly an honor to be a member of the Legislative Black Caucus and doing the good work that we've been doing now for nearly 50 years.
Mm-hmm.